What's up, you guys? My name is Nick, and I'm our high school pastor here at Journey of Faith. From a very early age, my whole life, I've always been involved in sports. From a very early age, my family's a sports family, so they enrolled us in kind of like every sport you can, and my whole life revolved around sports. And I loved it. I loved being involved in sports from a very early age, but I distinctly remember a transition from when sports transitioned from what I did to who I was. And what I mean by that is my whole identity, all my value and my worth came from sports. That's where my worth and identity came from. And I'll never forget my senior year. I played on the volleyball team at Redondo, and we were playing in the CIF playoffs. Basically, if you win, you move on, you lose, and your season is over. So as a senior, if we lost, that is the last time I'll put on a jersey for my school. That's the last time I'll ever play volleyball as a competitive sport again. And I'll never forget the wave of emotion that came over me as we lost that match. All of a sudden, everything that I prided myself on, my identity, everywhere I found my worth and value was taken away from me. And I'm wondering, even as I was preparing this message, what is it for you? Where do you find your identity? Where do you find your worth and your value? For a lot of you, maybe that is sports. Maybe it's what people think about you, what friends you hang around. Maybe it's how many followers you have on Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. Maybe it's what grades you get. Maybe it's where you're going to college. But what is it for you? Where are you finding your identity and your worth? See, it's really funny. Even as I was preparing this message, I don't know about you guys, but it kind of feels like the rug is being pulled from under us. It feels like our entire world is kind of being flipped and turned upside down, or even like, I got the sense like it's kind of put on pause in a sense. I don't know, things are getting canceled and things are being taken away from us. Like school, you're no longer going to school. You just open your laptop and that's what you do for school. Sports, sports are being completely canceled, or big events are being canceled, and we're not really sure what's gonna happen a few weeks from now or even a few months from now. And we're just living in this weird period of time. You see, here's the reality. Our schedules are gonna go back to normal. Things are gonna be back to normal. When, we're not sure, but it will go back to normal for the vast majority of you. See, school is gonna pick up again. You are actually gonna go to school eventually. Athletes, you're gonna return to your sports. You're gonna return to the friends that you're normally spending every single day with, but you can't right now because of social distancing and everything. And our schedules are gonna go back to normal. Our schedules are gonna go back to their normal, overstressed, completely full and completely overwhelming schedules. They're gonna go back to normal. But right now in this in-between period, we have an opportunity to really pause. We have an opportunity. We don't have to be anywhere. We don't have to do anything. We have an opportunity to really reprioritize our time and reprioritize where our identity truly comes from. As I was reading my Bible this week, I came across this story where usually when I read this story, it's kind of like, okay, that's good, but let me move on. It doesn't really hit me like it did this week. And I was reading this story. It comes out of Luke chapter 10, verse 38. We're going to pick it up and we're going to read. Jesus is going to the home of Martha and Mary. So we read in verse 38. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that has to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." You see, in this story, we have two characters other than Jesus. See, we have Martha and we have Mary. And they're putting on this dinner party pretty much for Jesus. And there's so many details that have to be in place. If I were having Jesus over for dinner, I would pull the full spread out, right? And so Martha is consumed with all these details. And Jesus comes, and Mary sits at his feet and just wants to be with him. And Martha gets mad. She's like, Jesus, like, I have to do all these things myself. Can you tell Mary to help me? And Jesus is like, Martha, you have it all wrong. Man, those details, they're important. But Mary chose what's most important, and that's just to be with me. You see, our schedules are so full. See, you guys are so stressed out all the time because you have to go to school, and then you have a couple hours of practice, you have a couple hours of homework, you have to go to tutoring, and you have to have a good social life, and you have to have all these things. And on top of that, you have to sleep 6 to 8 hours, and you have no time for anything. And during this in-between period, during this paused season, we have an opportunity to reset what's most important in our lives. See, we can be like Martha. And I've never been able to relate more to Martha in this story than right now. See, my life, I'm so consumed with all the details, everything going on, that I forget what's most important is just to sit and be with Jesus. Man, we have this opportunity during this time, during this in-between time where we don't have a filled schedule and we're not completely overwhelmed with everything that we have going on, to reset what's most important in our lives. See, Mary got that. She knew what was most important was simply just be with Jesus. Get to know him, talk to him. Everything else in our life, it's important for sure, but it's not most important. See, the invitation this week and what I'm really praying about is how I can use this paused season where my schedule isn't completely filled to capacity to really get back to what's most important, and that's just to be with Jesus. Let me pray for you guys. God, we thank you that you can use absolutely anything. God, we thank you for this time that you've given to us to reprioritize our time, reprioritize what's most important in our lives. And God, I pray that this time would be just that, where we're able to really think about what is most important in our lives. Where do we truly find our identity and our worth? And God, would that be from you? God, would we not be consumed with all the details of our life or details of about what's going on, but would we use this time to be like Mary, who just sat at your feet? God, would we be able to carve out time in our schedules just to sit at your feet this week and the weeks to come? God, we love you so much. I thank you for just the ability to meet virtually wherever people are at. And God, thank you for Ignite and Amplified and what you're doing through these communities. We love you. We love you so much. In your name we pray. Amen.